Today, for our acknowledgement, we take a look at this symbol from the Tohono O'odham people who live on what is now the border between the US and Mexico, in what is now called southern and central Arizona and northern Sonora. This symbol is often called the man in the maize. It is often depicted in basketry like this image. The man in the maze is a lot like the symbol we have on the floor today. We are calling our symbol a labyrinth rather than a maze. That's because a maze is often drawn with dead ends. It's something you can get lost in. But a labyrinth only has one path in and one path out, like the one here in the sanctuary and the one in this basket. It doesn't really matter what you call it, maze or labyrinth. The following words about the man in the maze are from the website wearenative.org, a multimedia health resource for Native teens and young adults created in the Pacific Northwest. For the Tohono O'odham, the symbol represents a person's journey through life. The twists and turns represent choices made in life. With each turn, a person becomes more understanding and stronger. In the middle of the maze, a person finds their dreams and goals. At the center, the last turn in the design, a person has a final opportunity to look back upon their choices and pass before they pass into the next world. Several other tribes related to the Tohono O'odham use the same or similar symbol, sometimes with a slightly different interpretation. End quote. Today, for us, the labyrinth is a symbol of mystery of the unknown. We don't know what will be revealed when we turn the next corner in our lives. Yet we keep moving forward in curiosity and faith.
So Pastor Izza prepared some words for us today about our labyrinth, and I'm going to share those with you now, and we're going to contemplate what our labyrinth is here for us to do today and how we can use it going into the new year. And so we're going to start with thinking about what we wonder about, the questions unanswerable in our lives and the wonders we ponder in our life. And it is human nature to wonder while we're wandering. You might even say that that is what our life is all about. In ancient times, some people went on long wanderings called pilgrimage, not just to see new things, but to get insight and new perspectives on their lives. Of course, it's not always practical to go on a long journey. Some of us like to take long walks, but we can't always make that work in our daily lives. Medieval Christians developed labyrinths, like the one we have here in the middle of our sanctuary, as a way to meander, wander, and wonder without going far at all. The labyrinth at Chartres Cathedral in France was constructed in the beginning of 1200s, as were others around Europe. Of course, like many elements of Catholic practice, the idea and the shape of labyrinths did not originate within Catholicism. Labyrinths are an ancient symbol. We don't know when the first ones were drawn and what they were used for, but when you see one, there's something deeply intriguing and satisfying about it, and it feels like it must be ancient. Here we have two different labyrinths patterns behind me, and the one on the right is from the Chartres Cathedral from around 1200, and the one on the left is a Cretan labyrinth, which derives from the Greek myth, first found on coins around 400 BCE. That's more like what we have here in the sanctuary today. An important thing about a labyrinth is that it's not a maze. You can't get lost in a labyrinth, just like we don't get lost in our thoughts when we're in the labyrinth. There's only one path. It goes in, it comes back out. It is essentially a spiral. Today, you are welcome at any point to wander into and out of this labyrinth. Our suggestion, before you step into the labyrinth, bring to mind a question you have about the world or your own life, something you don't have an answer for, something you're wondering about. Maybe it's a conundrum or problem that you have. Bring it to your mind, and then as you step into the labyrinth, set it aside. Let go about thinking about it, and then just experience the walk within the labyrinth. The feel that you feel in the pattern, the sight, the sparkly lights, the sound of the people here in the room with you today or at home on your Zoom call. Just be within that moment and notice if any other questions or wonderings come to mind, and simply be with them. Don't try to answer them. Let them come and let them pass. When you get to the center of our labyrinth, pause and see if there are any new insights that you have. Maybe there will be, maybe there won't be. When you get to the center, you're welcome to write down your question if you haven't already done so, and release it into the mystery. While you're at the center, you can also pick up a flower bulb that we have there for you, and then wander out of the labyrinth at your own pace. You can meander, taking your time in contemplation, or move quickly, as we do to the new year. It is up to you. Feel free to walk the labyrinth at any time during the service today. And if you choose to write down the questions and meanderings that you have and want to release them, we have the candle and matches as well for you to strike. Release your questions on your paper and set them into the red plate as they burn into the mystery of life.
Hello, friends. I'm Reverend Megan Foley. I am a middle-aged white woman, have short white hair and clear-colored glasses, and I'm wearing dark clothes today. Join with me for this time of reflection and meditation. I'm a lazy gardener, I have to admit. So that was the reason that I first got into planting bulbs. You know, these things. They're not much to look at, but if you can tell which end goes up, you have one of these, and an hour to spare, and you don't mind getting dirt on your knees, you can bring a little magic to a part of your yard, or anyone's yard, that might be in need of color, life, or just a good surprise when spring rolls around again. The first time I planted bulbs, I must confess, I was doing it as a chore. I was thinking ahead to some time in the future when this bulb would transform into something else absolutely beautiful, tulips or irises or something even more incredible. In a time of year that was brown and drab, I was trying to plant some insurance, some bit of hope for a future time when I would be surprised and delighted by what would be coming up out of the ground. Who wouldn't want to have a hand in making magic, getting a funny brown ball to turn into a beautiful flower? What I didn't expect to love was the drab, brown, dirty planting itself. Aside from putting an actual child to bed, nothing feels more cozy, comfy, or tender to me than planting a bulb. You make a little ground nest for your round friend. You make sure the up side is up so that when it's ready to stretch, it will know which way to go. And then you tuck it in. You cover it all up with some soil and you give it a few pats. You wish it well in the cold weather, knowing it is protected and safe. It is all I can do not to end with, "There you go, sweetie," with each little one. Planting bulbs itself is not a chore. It's an occasion of peace and love, like holding a sleeping child. It's also an occasion of hope and faith in a future you cannot see, like, well, holding a sleeping child. But its value is not only in the future, it's in the now too. I wonder what in your life and in the life of your faith community is like planting bulbs right now. Are there things you're struggling through The only reason being that you think they'll flower later? Is your vision only attuned to future bounty and beauty? Or is there a way for you to attend to this planting of these sunny brown balls, or their equivalent, in your life, in your world? Is there a way to tuck all that you love, all that you find peaceful, into little nests just where they need to be? Is there a way to care for the funny little things around you as if they are your children, knowing that so much more is to come, sure, but that there is a time of richness and abundance happening right now? Please join me in the spirit of prayer or meditation. Place your feet on the floor. Feel your hands in your lap. Close your eyes if you'd like to. Breathe. Spirit of life, you are with us when you are bursting forth with colors, and you are with us in our brown underground seed times too. Help us to notice life abundant, even when abundant evidence is in reserve. Help us to find the joy and peace in the brown and dirty planting we may be doing. Help us to know that the planting itself is valuable. Be with us so that we can foster your magic, life-giving works in all seasons. Amen.
Had a good opportunity to share what was on their mind and their feelings as we come to our close here. Before we move on, we also, for those on Zoom, if anyone would like to maybe share some insights or contemplations that you had with the larger group today, now is your opportunity. We have the mic to pass around, and if you're on Zoom, just make yourself known as well. For us, Amy and I's little mini discussion over there, checking in with each other. It's always good to check in with your partner. It's always a good time. As parents, one of the things for us, everything about having children is like planting a bulb for us. And so Amy was telling me that she feels like she's always only planting. They're not, you sometimes miss the results of, oh, well, when they were 3, I taught them this, and now they're 6 and they know how to do that. You kind of overlook that because now they're 6 and you're teaching them to do something else that you won't notice that they know how to do until they're 9. And so she said that one of the things she said was that it's kind of one of those, you have to stop and remember that you're not just planting, that there are results along the way, and that you can't get caught up in the planting part. So that was a really good insight from her that she shared with me, because being the parent that is away from the home more, especially when the military takes me away for longer periods of time, I miss some of those developmental stages. And so it's always good to see that she's thinking and pondering of how the planting of the bulbs is going. So something for me going into the new year is to pay more attention to that. But we have the microphone for anyone else that wants to kind of share some insights that they gained from our discussions as well. Or on Zoom, anyone on Zoom?
Yeah, go left.
Well, Kathy, do you want to share what you said?
Volunteer.
Oh, okay. Just that we plant bulbs in different ways. Of course, like children are certainly important. We need hope is really, I think I'm trying to think what I said, but hope is essential. And planting a bulb is hope. Raising children is hope. And as Jordan just said, parenting is playing the long game, and that's has to be done with hope. And I was remembering how the little things that we do, so many of different things that we do involve hope. I had Diane and I went out and did a lot of door knocking for Susan Adamczyk. That was like planting bulbs. It was a small things, but it was done with hope and working towards keeping Trump out of office, I guess we're not supposed to be political, but I am, is a act of hope. We don't want that to happen to our country. And we want hope to what to, and if it happens, how are we have to maintain our hope. So I think that was part of it. Did I miss something? I think we were just talking
Yes,
about
you
hope.
left the part that it's not enough to have hope, you have to act. And then
That's what you, yeah, right. That's what you said, or I think maybe Jordan said, someone said that, and I totally think that's true. You hope, and that, but they complement each other. To hope, you have to have, to act, to act, you have to have hope. And so those were some of the things we were thinking about.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I was thinking of all these bulbs that we have, and as we plant them, we can think of blessings for Matt and Jen. Think of all the blessings that would be. And then when they come up in the spring and they're beautiful flowers, again, we can think of Matt and Jen and the blessings and how their lives are improving. And think of look at all of us and all of us on Zoom and all of the other people that bought those bulbs at Farmers Market. Think of all the blessings for Matt and Jen.
I love that sentiment, Karen. One thing that in my family has been a quote for persevering through difficult times is paraphrasing something like, they thought they tried to bury us, but they didn't know that we were seeds. And what's really interesting is how true that is in my personal experience. I've found that I have the most growth and the most determination after something has devastated my life. And I just have to dig down deep and be sad about it, be really angry and frustrated about it for a while. But then I spring up and it's a new start, it's a new adventure, it's a new take on life, and it makes me blossom. Now, if anybody can figure out how I don't have to go through all the shitty times to get there, let me know. But so far, it's working.
Les?
Okay, are we ready for our closing words?
Oh, I don't think quite yet. We thought you had something else to share.
Nope.
Okay.
Oh, it's amazing how we all are thinking along the same lines. I picked up a book at the, Larry and I were thinking about the same ideas about hope. I got a book at the UU sale. I was going to give it to my social worker daughter, but she already had it. So she told me, you should read it, Mom. And I opened it at random to Hope. And Brene Brown pointed out that it's not a passive thing, that it's like Diane said, it requires you to put some effort into it. And I am very much engrossed in seeds all the time, and especially since we're starting our new prairie renovation on our front lawn. I heard on my car radio that they discovered some seeds, a cache of seeds that were 3,000 years old in this place in the Middle East. I think it was called the Masada, like a hilltop retreat. Some woman begged, a botanist begged for a few seeds. She planted 3, they were dates, and 1 grew. So something I learned from when I was a scientist, you try many things and some don't work. And so you always keep a few projects going, learn to be flexible. Larry and I were talking about that. Be flexible in your life and take things as you come, because the best plans that we make into the future, we do not know what will happen.
Yes, Les, we have music before the closing words, so we'll cue you up with the music. All right. So I want to thank everyone that shared with us today about the discussion questions and for participating in our labyrinth and releasing your questions into the new years and your ponderings, your wanderings, and those answerable and unanswerable. And hopefully you take with you a sense of fulfillment from that, of starting the new year fresh, releasing those things that we don't want to carry with us into 2024. And for me, I think it was Kathy that mentioned or in that part of with Kathy about having faith requires acts. And so with one of the discussions, ponderings, it was how do you experience the faith and hope in the future that you cannot see? And as someone in the queer community and in the trans community, that the bans, the legislations and stuff that were brought forth a lot in 2023 made it really hard for me and friends of mine to see a future that was comfortable. And so keeping faith and hope in a future you can't see really struck me this year, because it became very hard to see when multiple states became hostile, I guess would be the appropriate word there. But as we come towards the end of the year, and I see, now that the way of doing that is, as mentioned earlier, through acts, and hope that there are enough friends and supporters and allies and just kind people who are going to stand and be part of that action. And in doing so, we've seen that Supreme Courts have stopped a lot of legislation. Governors have vetoed a lot of legislation. So while the efforts were made, they have been less than fruitful against the queer community this year. So that does give me hope, seeing that people have stepped in government-wise and put some blockades towards a lot of these detrimental legislations. But that's for me going forward, is to remember to hold on to those little victories, just to be hopeful for 2024 as well, that it will be a much more tolerant year going forward. So I want to thank the Campbells again for the bulbs, for bringing those in. Again, even if you didn't walk the labyrinth with us today, feel free to take a bulb with you and plant it. There's a note here that I was given that says, make sure you get them in the ground ASAP. So if you do take a bulb, make sure that you actually get that into the ground when you can, as quickly as you can today, if possible.